25, 26 metre one there. There's a lot more of them now on about. No, I will. You know, even like that, like them Oilers style camel boats, you know, before that, the model of that, you know, more the model, the Benai and the Chepstow River, like them boats that was built in the 70s before them 86-feeters come. There's no many of them about now. Probably a similar type age to what you got. They were good boats and well made, and you know, but I always noticed that, like when it came to the older steel boats, Lewis seemed to be the most common, you know. They must have been using good stuff, or whatever way they had them wired or something, as you say, you know. It just seemed to work better. But that big one, boy, I can't remember what one that was. Like, it was on the slip, but she was one of the big, like Miller style, you know. Always used to love the shear in them, you know. Lovely shape thing. Massive beast, like Heller Bell, some style of boat. Heller Bell, maybe the Heller Bell was out in Canada, but you know what I mean. But boy, there was a lot of patches, you know, 2 foot square, and I remember that time, boy, when Neil was looking for a boat, you know. He was thinking seriously of buying that Heller Sprig. She was on the slip behind us, you know, and that day it was one of the harbour men I was standing talking to, like, and he was talking about the still, you know, and I says, a friend over by there, I says he was actually interested in this boat here, you know. I think this boat could be bought. He says, you tell him to be careful. He says, a wee while back there, he says, we had that up and down that ship lift. He says, all day, he says, every time I put it into the water, no, up again, another bit, I'll weld it. And he says, it went on the whole day, up and down, up and down. They couldn't get it stopped. Every time they put Jan on, they had to weld a bit more onto it, you know. The hull over was in very poor order. They were putting a new, I wonder was it an auxiliary engine. She'd just got a new engine, and there was another engine going into her anyway. She'd either just got an auxiliary or else, and they were putting in a main, or she had just got a main and the auxiliary had broke or something. It was an engine going into her anyway about 4 years ago, however, 3.5 years ago. That's what he told me. He says the whole bloody day, he says, up and down, up and down. Finishing into the water. Where they've been welding that, it started or somewhere else, did it? Oh, I believe it, Herbert. You see, Mansell boats, Miller boats you're talking about, That boat on the Orbital, actually flooded last year too, the cabin someplace, on bad plating or someplace. She filled the fucking cabin, I think, and they lost her. Destroyed it. I felt a lot of water, Herbert, you know, and I think the fucking little pumps and all under. That's one very important thing in a steel boat. It's just, just keeping on top of it, Herbert. You see, you kept it right that way, you probably never ever would have bothered it, you know. Apart from it, that there, and the fish from the water running back and forward. And I suppose another way of curing that, Herbert, is just to keeping the water pumped all the time. You know what I mean? There's no free surface effect. You know, I'm not talking about just a one-off. I'm talking about, you know, over the years, keeping that right, like. But they tell me there now, Herbert, here's somebody saying there, do you see that
WE's there for the bronze. I think that's not good either, or?
No, it's very corrosive, boy. That powder stuff, like, we have to stop using it. We put new pipes in our engine rooms. I think it's about here on the way windshield. And I noticed that when they were turned off, the refrigeration was turned off, there was like a black, like an old black scale was appearing on the new pipes, you know. And when you rubbed it off with your hands, it was like soot in your hands, you know. And somebody said to me, that's corrosion, that's your pipe's corrosion. And that's what they reckoned it was down to, that old powder that started using the liquid now, and it stopped it, like, you know. But yes, that was mentioned. Sam Campbell actually mentioned that to Darn. I don't think it would matter by, like, you know, whether there's actually any water in it. It's a damp, cold environment, and it's just no right environment for steel, you know. What I think I says to Darren, say when you get it renewed, if you could have got like a bung put in it, you know the way the wooden boats with plugs all up along them, boy, you know, if you know where to look for them. If you could have got some sort of stainless steel bung put in it, and when you're on painting, pull the bung out and let it dry out, you know, get it dried out and paint it. Get a coat of paint along with the rest of the boat, you know, if you paint it with anti-foul or patch primer or whatever. But if it was getting painted even once a year along with the outside of the boat, you probably wouldn't have to bother with it.
That sure fuck me over this. How many would do that, like, you know? Maybe the likes of Roderick McGee or something. Most of the boats are all fiberglass now too, and for some fucking work to do that every year, wouldn't it, like, you know? Yeah. But I'll tell you what Sam's problem is, and it's not a problem, it's a problem for us, it's not a problem for him. Sam Campbell, I would put him in the league of fucking Roddy and Macduff. He's a perfectionist. Probably one of the best engineers in the country. There's respect there for him, I'm telling you, there's nothing the man doesn't know. And no matter what he does, Herbert, it has to be done right. And if you've got an old boat there that you're struggling with and you're trying to maintain her, and you know, you're doing your very best for her to try and keep her in the best order you can, but you know rightly, if somebody like that gets aboard, you're fucking, you're gonna run into a fucking lot of money, like. At the same time, he's gonna make sure you're gonna go to sea with your boat good condition, like. But Sam is desperate, like. If he finds a fault at all, like. See them boats is doing the load lines and all. He was down doing that there in the boats playing. He was just making them do everything, Herbert, you know. He's a perfectionist, and you know, he said to fellow, well, I'm not taking a chance. He said, I wouldn't have bought my boat like that, so if anything goes wrong, I'm on the fucking clear here, like. And that's the attitude he's taking. There's a lot of men complaining about him there now.
That common sense goes a long way too, boy, like, doesn't it? That's alright, just fucking run around with a pen on a blackboard. Looking over to the page here. Tom will get his money anyway, huh? They know it. If you were asking, if you are speaking before you do it, like he mentioned, or somebody mentioned, I don't know whether it was Sam Campbell or, in fact, you know how the conversation actually came up? It was one of the harbour men in Port Oga. Said you know, that should have been, you'd think that wouldn't have been done for it, and he named this special stuff, I don't even know what it is. It'd be a good thing to put in that, and I think Sam Campbell spoke up, he says, that should have been on it. He says, that actually should have been on it when it was new, but he says it wasn't. Whatever that coating thing was, you know, but there's a guy there works in the harbour, Port of Ogie, Barry, and his whole family, like, are fucking renowned for being lazy dogs, uncles and all, and dad, and, you know, but very, very handy with their hands, the whole squad of them, you know, could turn their hand to anything. Actually quite smart when it comes to that carry on, but lazy folk, you know, but he knew that stuff, and he said you'd wonder they wouldn't put something like that there on it. Sam Turner, and he says that actually should have been on her when she was new. He says that's what's wrong with the boat. But there you go, so whatever it was, I don't know what it was, but I think Darren said, I said to Darren about, you know, like, Darren, wouldn't it be a big job for him to do it, Barry? Like, the well in his boat's actually very small. It's only a 50-foot boat, so you know the size of the hull. There's one wee well, I don't know if it goes over one frame or two frames, but it would be very, very easy to do in Higgins. And I said to him, if you could, you know, if you could get a bung put on it, that when you're on the slip, open the bung and let it completely dry. And you know, while the water can get away, you could go in with a power washer, then power wash the well out and paint it, let it dry again and paint. He says, Sam was actually saying that some of the boats are doing that now, they're putting a bung in them to get it drained, you know, on the slip. I made that time with this Rowan's boat there, that Silver Quest, but when we had the fire in it, there's diesel stove caught fire in the harbour, Barry, you know, and didn't do much burn damage. It was all smoke, you know, and mess, like. The Peter Noble's being Noble. They went down a langer, boy, and took out the engine room, took the bungs out over, boy, the wooden bungs, in below the cabin and that, and went in here with a power washer. Power washed the cabin, you know, and the water was running away as quick as they could do it, you know. Keeping the bilges were dry all the time, you know, the water just ran away. It's a good idea, Herbert, you know what I mean? It probably would, and like our forward well, you could do that, no problem. Our forward well's lovely and clean. We have two wells, Herbert, but with water tanks right down the middle, right across the middle of the fucking fish room, like, that's the only thing I don't like about this boat, like. What's our water tank down in there? But the after well, Herbert, is fucking stinking, and I went down in last time I had the boat down home and a fucking bucket. And down in and I got a wee scoop made. But there's two pipes, Herbert, from the two pumps for pumping her out, coming in down into the after well on each side of that after well. And you just can't get down in there, like. I fucking put my head down in one day and, you know, trying to scoop the stuff out. And I had to pull myself up out every time and then put a handful into a bucket. And I just can't get it cleaned properly, you know. I don't know what you would do there to get that fucking cleaned out, but we're doing our best to keep it clean, but it's fucking stinking, Herbert, you know, and I can't do nothing about it. But the forward well now, it's spotless, like. Because you can just lift the boards, you get straight down in there, and you know, and most of the stuff always sits in the after side of the hull anyway, and you know, that's why we're getting so much fucking scum and shite down in there. And we're using the best of buildings, but it's not, you know, it's not the. I just can't get it down in, right down in, but where the keel is there, Herbert, to get it cleaned properly, you know. And it's rotten, like.
I want to try and do something this year when I'm on the slip here and see can I get some sort of an industrial hoover or something down in there and see can get that cleaned out properly. Or he took bucketfuls out of this one here. I didn't know what it is. I didn't know where you would start with this boat here. It must have been left that dirty for so long. There's actually a scum on the actual beams under the floor, if you know what I mean. It would take them fucking scraped. But the minute you touch it, it falls off into the bills, you know, and we just ended up laying it alone. And I had tried different, you know, degreasers and stuff like that there to try and dissolve it away, but I can't get it moved, you know. It's like fucking grease stuck to the timbers, you know. But somebody told me, boy, that I think it was actually a fisheryman told me. He says that's actually a type of bacteria, and he says the best way to deal with that, he says, is coarse salt. All the flare lifted and dusted it all with coarse salt. I don't know if you were maybe doing it a few times, it might break it down or something, but they're hard to keep clean with. You know, if you could get them opened up some way and just wash the whole onto the fucking slip, that might be a good enough idea there, what you're talking about with a decent sized brown, Herbert. But it's more shite that runs out of the fish and the prawns, I think, you know, it's got up down in there. Fuck. I got Speedy and then the others to make me a scoop because you can't get down in past the... There's 4 pipes down in there, Herbert, and there's limbits and... it's just very, very, very awkward to get out, you know. And it's not deep. You have to put your whole fucking body down in there. Well, it's just, I took 3 or 4 fucking buckets of stuff out of it there a lot of months back, and, you know, I couldn't get it all. And it's black, Herbert, you know, you think it was a fucking engine room bulges. You know what I mean? If you get sucking the bright, all that is shake down, and the pump maybe left it, and, you know, I don't know. But the thing they put the engine into this boat, Herbert, is fucking ripping, boy. The Dutch trailed over, you know, but the fucking bulges was pretty bad on her. And I was travelling up. Well, they actually said, Tony said to me, they said in the deal the whole engine job was fucking engine taken out, bulges clean, new engine put in, but they fucking just trailed it. That was one thing I say about McDuff, like, and they weren't tidy fellas that way, like. They trailed that Mitsubishi down under this boat, Herbert, and they never even cleaned the bulges out, like. Now, I got offside of the engine at the time Shane done the gearbox. I got down in there and done it. Cleaned it what I could there, and... But the fucking... They trailed the fucking engine. Once the engine, you wouldn't hardly get your arm between the engine bed and the fucking... and the engine, you know. I never even got the bulges cleaned properly in our harbour. Most of them big steel boat, that bonafide was the same. You would never get down into the bulges and her either, like, but I would have loved to have got that. I would have come up and took a couple of days out of Herbert and scraped them all out and fucking painted them and done what I had to do. Like, the footer's just, Tony was probably pushing to get the job done too. The doubt's tailed out and the fucking Mitsubishi slid in. And I'd been travelling back and forward up, you know, when they were doing the job, and the fucking come up and nearly cracked. The fucking engine was slid in and the bilges weren't even cleaned out, like. I think they might have cleaned it to a certain degree, like, but not properly, Herbert, you know. I remember doing an engine job at pulling an Neil Gardner out one time with a Magic and putting a Volvo in, boy. They had me stuck on the bilges for fucking 2 or 3 days, scraping out and painting and, you know, left them fucking spotless, like. I would love to have done that here, but I never got the chance, so.
Yeah. No, well, I heard Donald mentioning about bilges today, but. There was no cleaning our bilges. Jobs off in the Dubai, you know. There's blocks to get on it, but we'll have to wait an extra for another 14 days waiting on a block coming from America. He had loads of time to do the other things, the one that, and he never touched them. A couple of pipes, the one that replaced there in the engine room. I said, you got the pipes done? No, we never got at them. Sitting down nothing for, you know, nothing on her boat. He had her for an extra 14 days, boy. And never got anything else done. I
know it's hateful that, Herbert, you know, your fucking time you're tied up and all. That's the only thing I say about the East Coast, Herbert. When I was working around there, I used to work around there a lot. I could have fucking go up to any engineering companies and tell them what I want it done. And it would have been done. You know, and I'm fucking struggling, even with Kilkeel. You really have to push and stand on top of people to get work done, and it's. I just get nothing done in Malik there now. Like McPhee does wee bits and pieces for me there, but he won't take any big jobs on. You know, I've actually been taking Shane up there back and forward. You know, it's a bit of a nightmare, Herbert. Like, but the East Coast different story now. It is expensive, but I get Strahans around there to do my work, Herbert, and I'll just go up and I'll tell the young fella in Strahans there, the main man there, what I want done, and it's never ever to come back and it not been done, like. They'll throw 2 or 3 men into you, Herbert, you know, but it'll be done. They're very good that way, you know, but I hate that there lying ashore and, you know, been off that certain amount of time and no excuse for that not been done, like. It's hateful, you know, because you do struggle to get work fucking done. I know down at home there, even in Kilkeel, there's probably more engineering companies and there would be in Portavogie. I can't imagine what it's like in Portavogie to try and get work done, but Kilkeel is the fucking same. It's hard to get men under.
Oh, you can get nothing in Portavogie. You just get enough to keep you going, that's all. That's it to Brian Mahood in Portavogie, like. Brian's the sort of the welder, you know, the fabricator, and Colin's more the shipwright, but Colin has last lot of years as, you know, he sort of, his dad always had the oil as well, you know, and he got railroaded more into the oil, and then when that Trawler Association took over, he was the oil man there as well, you know, and he seems happier than the oil. You couldn't get him to put a nail in, like. Even when the boat was on the slip, you had to go and chase him to just go in with a cock in there and just to Just a heavy jack runner, you know. But I says to Brian, you know, you never think of taking a couple of men off, a couple of welders. I'm sure you'd. And he says, you couldn't take them on. He says, the insurance is out there. And I felt like saying to him, he said, you wouldn't get enough out of them to pay the extra insurance. And I felt like saying to him, at your speed you couldn't. But if you got a couple of men that worked, you would be able to sit in your hole even more.
Exactly, yeah. The Portafuga, you would think Herbert would need a couple, you know, a shipwright business. You'd think you couldn't go far around there. You know, it's full of timber boats. A couple of good shipwrights there, and they would go a long way in Portafuga, you would imagine, like. Like, Jesus, Kilkeel's the opposite now. There's a lot of steel boats at Kilkeel now. Not like it was when I fucking started. It was all full of timber boats too. Now you can get work done in Kilkeel. Shane does my work as a one-man band, but he's fucking good, you know. But you know, I was the same last time I went down too. There's fucking stuff was wanting done, and he was trying to work between 2 or 3 different boats. The man was doing his best, like, but he just didn't get all done that I wanted either. So he said he could do the plates and all for me too, but I says, I'll tell you what, Shane, I'll leave the engineering work to you. You know, pipe work or work. I says, I'll get Ian Neal to do these plates. I says, it'll take a lot of the weight off, like. I says, it's a big enough job for one man there too. We'll try and work around it. We'll split the work up a wee bit. He's just not. He's working for Connolly and Clorhead too, doing it and keeping it. They upkeep all his boats. He kept coming down and saying, I'll give you a couple hours here this morning, but I have to run down to Clorhead or I have to run the house. And it just wasn't getting at it right, you know. John Kearney does a bit of work there for me too, you know, so I'll just split it out a bit, Herbert. He made me up a brake band there the last time I was down. He just got the fucking bill for it the other day. Fucking £1,000. I don't know if that's dear or not. I thought it was a bit OTT, like, but a fucking £1,000 there to make a brake band up, or?
Yeah, you wonder where they get the figures for. They seem to base it, as far as I see with the fishing industry, the engineers and stuff are basing everything on the top earners, you know. If they can pay, everybody should be able to pay. But I know the prices that things is getting to, and for what we earn done by there, like, you know, it's very difficult work with wee prawns to get big grossings for you, you know, like you just physically, you know, boats. Well, I don't know about Kilkeel, they always seem to have better crews, faster crews than what's in Portafuga, but I know there's nothing in Portafuga. There's nothing in Portafuga could possibly get a £20,000 week for you. You just couldn't do it, like. There's none of the boats would be capable of that with the prawns that we're dealing with, you know. You know, you hear word of boats with £40,000 and £50,000 trips. You just could not do that down there where there's crews that's in them in Portafuga. And I think sometimes McDuff and that, you know, they're pricing their jobs around the groupings that them guys is making up there. Boys like us couldn't pay their bills over. I know what you're saying, Herbert. I would. That's one of the reasons, Herbert, why I didn't concentrate more on home, because
when I joined this boat here, she was saying, now I said she was awful hard to run, you know, and we just couldn't get the grosses to, you know, to work with wee prawns and get enough money out of it, you know. That's what I thought about it anyway. Yeah, well, sure, we were grossing, I thought better up here. And I said I'm for the boat to be up here too, like, but I know what you mean, alright. It's different. You're a boat there, maybe it's handy enough running. But like, certainly this time of year, Herbert, the last 2 or 3 months, yeah, this is when we make our year up, like, you know, but this last 2 or 3 years, Herbert, it's been tough round that other side, like with no fish quota and that, you know. It used to be our best time of year. 7, 8, 9 years ago, it was, fuck me, we were grossing as much that time of year if we got working. You would get out working at all, you were not on in at 20,000, like. But that's all changed now. It's not the same prawns about now either, you know. And that's kind of why I'm thinking about not even fucking going around there this year. You get a bad spell of weather, Herbert, you 2 or 3 months just fucking, it's just a nightmare. That seems to be our worst time of the year now, Herbert, this last while. Is that by end or?
Aye, yeah. No, it's a pity, boy. It does slacken off these parts, like, but it's a pity, like. Oh, well, I don't know that. Well, we just not run up to Christmas would depend on the Clyde, boy, you know. And you get sort of into that September time there, the prawns usually would start to get a few southwest breezes there, you know. Starts to lift the weird prawns away there, you know. After a southwest gale, you'll get a week or so of better prawn, you know. The prawns would stay small if the weather stays fine, but there's a wee bit of broken weather. It usually helps the quality. And like, that's the other thing about the Clyde. You can make a gale of wind, boy, if it falls away and go out the next day, you'll get the prawns the next day.
Aye, Herbert, you know your limitations, you know what you need to do. That's the beauty about that, like, you know, if you can get fucking working there, you'll scratch away. See, even if you can keep your head above water for them couple of months, it make your year up, like, you know. But what hit us hard there was, Herbert, we used to do well at that time of the year, and last year wasn't too bad right now, but see the year before, Herbert, I'm not kidding you, but we went round there and we done awful poor, but it was just useless with us, like. The prawns didn't really come on right, and the weather was shite, and it didn't come on right at Shields either. I was robbing Peter to pay Paul, kind of thing, you know, and just it was a poor end of the year, like. Somebody had told me that time, give me an offer of a scrape, I would have took it, that's the truth. I just said, just to keep things turning, but I wasn't even doing that, like, you know, it was awful poor, like. And it wasn't really a great time at that time. We were trying to get ourselves fucking gathered together. Enough of poor start we're now on the took her over, I'm telling you. We got 2 or 3 months in the middle of the year here, Herbert. That was really, the start of the year was poor and the end of the year was poor. Do you know what I mean? And it's put me off around there this year, to be honest with you, because I think the only reason we did get a turn last year is because the weather was so good. I've seen it around there, Herbert, by the way, been atrocious, but the prawns is working, they seem to be able to work away, you know, but that's not the case now. You know, every box or two of fish we were getting, we were able to keep it too, you know. deck there now, deck PO, there's nothing right there, but it's just hopeless for fish like they were.
Aye, yeah. Yeah, well, if you had to go, Barry, if you had to go or you're going to go, like, you should lift the phone to Sam there and for Coda and that, like, he'll fix you up better than the PO would, you know, like Dick would have helped you, like, but Dick's out of the picture there now. I don't know who this new guy is, but, and as far as the other boy, Ian's about as helpful as a fart in a spacesuit, to be honest with you. He's the most negative wee fella you'll ever wish to come across, like. But Sam could maybe set you up with something, you know. If you have to go round after a fish. I was actually thinking, Barry, in this boat here, like, I was actually thinking of getting our gear cut down. So I was. We certainly can catch. We can outfish Darren there, Darren and his brother there. We normally can outfish them alright. They the same nets as us, but theirs is 20 fathom in the ground and ours is 100. Ours is 25. And we usually can outgross them alright. It's down to manpower, Barry, you know. Darren, if we had men like Darren had, you know, if we had, Darren can raise as many prawns up as us with a man or a couple of men less. And it's really the bigger gear that's not benefiting us any. And like, Darren's a man like that. He very, very rarely, there's very, very little maintenance goes on with Darren with his gear, you know. I often feel, and he's the sort of fella that if he went to a bit of ground and the boat was getting 30 stone hauls and he was getting 20, rather than adjust his gear, he would just go somewhere else, you know. Well, we're no fishing in this bit of ground, so we'll go to another bit, you know. That's the type of boy he would be like. But what he catches, what he can get read up behind us, it's no worth us telling that about. Aye, I know what you're saying, Herbert. We'd be the same when we get in the boat, like. Seeing how Andy and Edwin and all that, if it was ever, you know, in that smaller stuff there, you just could have got the stuff off the deck quicker and took more out of them. And well, we should that problem, Herbert, when we got into smaller prawns, is getting to them, you know. I know exactly what you mean there, too. Barely fished there this morning, anyway, Herbert. 4.5 baskets and a stone and a half of tails. That's what I thought there was maybe a wee bit more than that, but oh well. See, anyway. I think it's maybe holding its own there now, Herbert. It's not getting any worse there yet, anyway. I'll throw away one down next to the gate here this time. See what we do for the evening then. I was talking to Neil there last week and he says he hasn't his wee boat sold yet. Maybe he's not saying very much, so maybe he's going to hold on there, take the license off her and keep her on the guard, just keep that boat and get somebody under. And I was thinking maybe he was thinking that way. He didn't say that to me, but
keep the two of them running. Like, Gordon Campbell's going to do that with the Ocean Harvester, I think, you know, he's just going to take the license off her and put her to the yard or what.
Yeah. Well, I think Neil gets frustrated a wee bit there at times with the brother there. The brother's now and will go for the ticket, you know. Eric Colley there was telling me he was down looking at her. Eric told me that himself, like, wasn't he, Neil? He said he was down here and looked at her. He says he's not that fussed, like at Eric's age. Eric would be probably approaching 60 now, you know. But he's a younger brother that's younger than me. He's the one with the ticket. He's on the deck, you know. But he says if Roy had any interest, he says if he wanted her, we would go for her. He says, but I'm no fussed. He says that's how thing does me. I didn't care one way or the other. But he says Roy, the younger brother's showing very little interest over.
That's the problem, isn't that, like? It's the same with myself, sir. Herbert, the young fellow wasn't keen at all, like. He's not. I would have quite hoped that maybe he had been, but he's just not. See, Neil's problem is there with that boat too, Herbert. She's not a real beater, you know. She's just not. She'd be fucking spot on there for Portavogie or working at home there even, you know, but I find it hard to sell that boat into Fraserborough or any of them places because just their size, just for winter fishing, it's maybe just a wee bit shake on the small side, Herbert. Kieran Connolly sold her for that reason, you know, to Neil. He was trying to work the smalls and that there, and he's just in the poor weather, she just wasn't doing her stuff, you know. I think that's just a wee problem with that boat. Like, you know, if she had been registered a metre shorter, Herbert, I think she would have been away to a fucking hot cake.
We're the same, boy. We're the same. We're sitting at 17.1 registered. If I could have got this boat to 16.5 metre, I would say I could have sailed her in a couple of weeks. Any time I ever advertised her, that was the first question. Do you need a ticket? I know what you mean. She would. So, like the like of Eric, I thought you see the like of Neil's boat right up her coast there. You know, everybody knew. Everybody's twin rigging now, and you know the like of them Hourglass men, like the Wells and that's sitting with a load of oil boats, like should have been a good step up for them boat fellas. Like there seems to be a lot of keen skippers there in Hourglass, you know. I thought she would have sold no bother, like. I see Wells has 3 or 4 houses on the internet for sale, Simon. Hey, it would remind you he's having a bit of a red out, you know, but even Portavogie there too, you know, there's a good few older sort of boats and well, they're all twin rigging now right enough, but there doesn't seem to be anybody in Portavogie has the ambition to move up a bit for you know. The ones that want that kind of boat are the ones that have no boats, if you know what makes sense. If you know, if that makes any sense to you. The ones that have boats seem to be happy with what they got. They don't seem to be wanting to upgrade them any.
Aye, yeah. Well, I fucking don't know much about the selling of boats and stuff, Herbert, but sort of Neil's boat's a great order and all that. You know yourself, he's particular and all. And he's probably hiding out for a price, Herbert, but I would say maybe if he come back a bit, I don't know what the man's looking for the boat, but I would imagine the way he keeps her and the amount of effort he puts into keeping her good, he's probably looking a big price for her. And at the end of the day, she's that type of boat that you wouldn't want to be paying any wild serious money for her, like. I can remember I put this boat up for sale 3 or 4 years ago. And Ryan Whitehead phoned me. He had that sparkling star. You know that one that he swapped the wee boat for, Herbert? She was a Jones's boat. She's the same boat as that Greener, only a wee bit smaller. But he got that boat, or that boat was registered a little bit early. And he phoned me up one morning. It was just shortly after my dad died, because I remember I was away with my mother looking at fucking headstones to the grave. And he phoned me, he says, I see your boat on the internet. And I says, I put her up the other day. He says, I'm doing the same here. He says, you know, I put her up. He says, I put her up this morning here. He says, I've got phone calls about her already. That man had that boat sold at the end of the week, Herbert. I never even got as much as a fucking phone call. Sailed her away to the south of England, someplace as a gillionaire. She just sold with a click of her fingers, Herbert, because she was a real beater. Now, that was a big lump of a boat there, but to be registered under ticket, but that's the only reason she sold for it. To be honest, I thought she was a fucking pilot to work.
Never really seen her very up close, like. She was lying one day in the dock, just outside of the dock in Shields, and I meant to sort of have a bit of a water in her, but... yes, that's it, they seem to go quick, like, I'm surprised that Ocean Trust is that, to be honest with you. I thought that boy, maybe he's looking big money, but I thought she would have sold quick. You know, there's a lot of, she would have been a good upgrade for a lot of West Coast men there, you know. But the ticket diet does seem to play a big part, alright, boy. McKinnon there, like when Eddie quit there, that Reliance man there, like he sold the Reliance. Like, if I'd have been him, I would have been trying to sell the Deliverance first, you know. The Deliverance is fishing away, don't get me wrong, but if I had been McKinnon, I've been trying to hold on to the end that there was no ticket required.
Exactly, yeah. I think that's the problem, Herbert, you know. That Ocean Trust will sell Herbert, and he knows it too. That's a good wee boat, that. They're holding on there they're ready to get this show. I think there's that Sparkling Star bought, isn't it? Well, that boat will go, Herbert, and she'll go with big money too. So she will. Tony's got two or three boats there, and I'm telling you, he's got a contest there too. Them boats would all sell, no really. I don't think he'll have any bother getting rid of that boat. He'll get good money for her too, you know. She'd be boat that. Our Pride was the same. I like Huzzer there now, but I think he had a wee bit of bother since he got her, like, but he seems to have her in good shape there. They're sister shops, Herbert, our Pride and her, like. No bother selling that Ocean Trust, I wouldn't imagine, or.
No, I thought she'd have been away, boy, to be honest. I thought she'd been gone already. I didn't realise Tony still owned it. I thought it was your man Cameron had bought her, like. I thought, you know, I thought Tony had sold her on, like. I didn't realise he still owned her.
Oh, no, he just took your man, and your man took a share on her, like, you know. For her. Just the same way I was there with him, like. There's 3 or 4 men on her there. Your man that had died there a couple of years ago, Peter Head, Alan, what did you call him? Young fella. He went in partnership with him, and only lost it a few months, and he got the fuck out, and then young Angus McLeod there from Gairloch was in on our too for a while, and he got the fuck out, and young Cameron then Trinidad seem to be getting on alright, like. They went and bought that Sparkling Star.
Aye, Tony and Cameron.
Yeah, that's right. You know that wee boat that was floating back there, that wee steel boat. You remember the old Pallades and Antares and the same boat as them, like great wee boats, like. I've heard about it.
Oh, aye, well, I know the Pallades and Antares, alright. Yep. Aye, they're fine article. No, I thought it should have been away. I didn't realise Tony's still hotter, like. Maybe that's why you should know. Knowing Tony, it'll be a big price of it.
Sure, Herbert, I'll tell you what, another thing I noticed about this last year to the Ocean Trust, the wee man's keeping her very good, like. She's in great order. There's an engine put under there a couple of years ago too. No, I still has her, Herbert. But I don't imagine that boat will be too hard to sell now. Licenses is way up in value there too, Herbert. I know a fella paid £1,400 a ton for tonnage there, for a license there last week. I think that's the reason being, Herbert, the pelagic men, all these new pelagic boats coming, they're buying up everything. And it's that fucking tonnage is that scarce now, it's going way to the fucking roof for it.
I've heard that, Barry, but you're the first I heard putting a price on it. Ron and Sam and them all were yelling about license, and I says, well, how much are they? But nobody has come up with a price yet. We'll maybe get a date someday then.
Well, I think that was crazy price. Some fella needed tonnage, and I know it's over £1,000. I tell you who it was, I can remember now who told me. It was Diesel told me. These two big boats lying in Kilkeel there, that boat that Charlie was doing up, and he's the Ardent now. It's going to take an alpha license for her. If anybody was to buy her off him for fishing, he should there's over 200 ton, 200 some odd ton for the license on her. Like to buy a license out there, Herbert, it's going to be all buying really. But I was just looking, Herbert. It was a French boat, a 24-meter French boat in France. A powerful boat, like she was great order to his new Caterpillar engine or put on her 2015. And I just inquired about it, and there's only 100 GRTs on her, 101 GRTs. Somebody said to me, watch what you're doing there, because she might be remeasured or something if you're flagging her into Ireland or into Britain or whatever. He says maybe the tonnage is different or something, but the tonnage I had in this license here, I have 150 ton here. Like it would more now, the kilowatts was 570 kilowatts or something on the license. Or in the boat, that was engine power on her. But the kilowatt kilowatts to a penny, you know what I mean? The tonnage was more than outweighed the kilowatts. You could have bought kilowatts, you know, boy. Which were sold anyway. I sold it to the south of Ireland. She went very quick, that boat, like, but I was just saying to myself that the license I have to buy one of them French boats should be, I'll be okay that way, like, because none of them's very big tonnage for some reason, Herbert.
Oh, aye, dear knows the way they're measured for you. Maybe, as you say, maybe bring her in and need half as much again, eh? I mean, I don't think they are. They're no as big a boat like as the equivalent Scottish type style boat for you, you know, the way they're cut away at the bow and all. And usually a brave bit of the stern of them going, you know. I don't know where that. I know the shelter runs back a wee bit, but is that classed as it only the enclosed bit of the shelter counts for the tonnage or what? I don't know. I don't know, but there would be a smaller boat for the equivalent size in a Scottish design, like, but 101 tons seems. I mean, we're 95 or 98 or something, boy. We're 90. We're just shy of 100 in this boat, like.
Well, I think, Herbert, she haven't closed up with hoppers and stuff like that. I think it makes a big difference. As you say, it's more the stern maybe open, you know. I don't know. But I know Neil told me he had to put 33 ton to his boat. His boat that he has at the minute is 100 ton, something similar to your own. And I'm there sure he said to me he has to get 33 ton there for that boat he has. She's measured more than that one I was looking at, and the one I was looking at is a bigger boat than Neil's. So I don't know, Neil says just watch anyway, like, you know, he says he had to put 30 ton or 33 tonners on to his license or.
It sounds more like the thing, boy, doesn't it, like? I think Neil's boat is that still below the 70 feet, but she's a relatively big boat, you know. I think by stock she was even bigger than the one Trevor and them had, like higher or not. That sounds about right. I mean, what are we? We're only 18 odd meters here for 95 ton, you know. Right enough, the doors of our shelter run rightly back, but. Hard to know. I see, just what you're talking about, boy. I see one of them Ford boats there, boy. Them big Ford boats. I don't know if that's the other one that your man Kerwin had here advertised, friend of fishing boat there. Flying in Skibbereen, needs an engine it says, but maybe she's wrecked, I don't know. Obviously with the new license, but I thought she would have been snapped up with one of these boys, you know, like DR or somebody. But maybe, as you say, put a license in the like of that. But maybe she's in poor neck, but she's a big lump of a boat.
Hi, Herbert, what boat's that you're speaking about?
They call her the Scepter. The Scepter. She's like that boat of John Moore's. Remember Michael Kerwin there? Was it Michael Kerwin? Seagull man. Remember he had two of them. Murno got one of them, and I don't know where the other one went. Them big 76 or 78 feet wooden force boat. She's Skibbereen, she's lying. Says she needs an engine. The engine must be smashed down her like that. She's been on trying to fishing boat a good wee while, like I thought she would have went. I said to myself, somebody will pick that up for 10 or 12,000.
I know the boat alright, Herbert. She's a bit smaller now, and I think she's a plank lower, Herbert, than Middy's boat, sure. But no, she looks alright too, you know. I don't know what kind of shape she's in, like, but looking at the photograph on her, you'll see she looks alright. She probably is a fine enough old boat, like. Seen that alright now. In fact, somebody mentioned her to me one day, you know. She's well enough nailed together and all that thing, like. Why ain't looking at her, Herbert? She's a plank lower, maybe, you know. She's not the same timber and that thing, I don't think, like, but still a big lump of ship over.
No, I don't know what one she's been originally, boy, like, but I know that, you know, Mers is a fine boat, like, I always liked her, you know. But then she's always kept well, you know. But she's been sitting a good while. Had a harder license or want to upgrade a biggish boat, you know, put an engine on her, maybe. Or an oil boat or something, you know. But that's maybe. I always felt that's the way it would go, but just to the price of things. I often used to say that to Neil, that was the way it was going to go. You'll find a lot of people sort of buying older boats and doing big refits, you know, renewing them, gutting them. I often thought that's the way it would have went, sort of for cost effectiveness. So. Yeah. That's for sure. Just lying in a last trip. We're doing a wee job round at the diesel berth, Molly. Forget what you call your man that has that sapphire now. We're all below a big lump on, but I had her away too for a trip or two there a couple of years ago, like, but she's a big lump out there, Herbert. Some timber in that bugger, but I just felt with her. I don't know what panel it's a 3412 cat in her. Or is it just horsepower in her or what? I'm not sure. I don't think it's 600 horsepower in her, like, but you could have just felt that there wasn't the same plucking power as what's in this boat, like, you know. Saying that she's okay too, like, you know. The same size of nets and all on her that we told her, I can remember that, but they were Scott nets, they were very fucking heavy. Well, that being the reason or what, Herbert, I'm not sure, but I remember we were towing out at the Balmoral buffer and God, we couldn't get any more than 2.5 knots where, and I was pushing her on, you know. I just thought there wasn't the same puff on her. You know, we would have took that gear away a lot harder than that, like, I know we do take our own gear away harder than that, you know. I mean, we're not pushing her either, Herbert, you know. I was putting a good bit of diesel through that boat, like. Well, the ground was muggy and that Balmoral is full of growth and the nets is awful heavy, you know, with the growth and that. Well, kind of saying I would like to be towing this gear on a bit more than what we're doing, you know. We just went alongside her there till you shift it, and my God, I could see why, maybe, you know, she's an awful lump on the work. Oh, yeah. It's a big boat on by, like, she is. Well, let's see. I would say what you got there, you maybe would go a wee bit and find a anything that could hold that out there with it. That golden scepter we were in there, Barry, she was the biggest car I'd ever been involved with, like a big long narrow boat, you know, and she wasn't too severe in the bills, you know. Jimmy McClemence's boat there with the tanks in her, like they had put very, very full bilges in her, you know. Come away down midships, they come away down and straight for Farnham, for, you know, there was nearly flat in the bottom, trying to get as much carrying capacity in her, you know. She was that straight below the water, Barry. She used to do herself harm. I remember her wearing, she wore through a couple of the planks way into the spike head. Getting, you know, the taper and the key there, the pier. She was actually touching, she would have rubbed below the water, you know. But that golden scepter could have tried, but there was no nozzle or anything on her. I mean, I don't know. Maybe typical of Forbes at the time. Maybe they hadn't a big enough arch in her for that kind of power. She was built with a 565 in her. But she was a 1500 engine, Barry, 1500 rev engine, and she had only a 4-to-1 box in her. But it was variable pitch right enough. And Rowan and me used to argue about it, like, you know, Rowan would have said, oh, put plenty of propeller on her, you know, plenty of propeller and keep her eased back a bit, get the power out of her with a blade, you know. But I says, but Rowan, that's okay. I says, putting a big blade on her, plenty of pitch on. I says, if you had a reduction for it, but I says, we don't have big reduction for these revs. I says, I think we need to have this blade spinning hard and maybe a bit of pitch off, you know. I says, but we argued about it all the time. When he was in the boat, he drove her that way, away back at 1100. When I was in the boat, when he wasn't in her, I would have drove her away at about 1350, boy, and I thought she was far more lively, Barry, like, to be honest. You know, turning on the Annie Weller there at the Pelagic or the Swan Rig. She seemed more lively with the revs on, you know. But she, you know, when you got her spinning and revs on her,